Hey, hi, hello, and welcome back to the show. It looks like everybody's favorite punk rock forefathers are finally ready to collaborate when Henry Rollins and Ian MacKaye have just announced that they made a record together. Today, I got all the latest on this episode of Punk News Now. My name is Dan Frampton. Likes and subs. Let's get her rolling. So these two gentlemen probably don't need any introduction, especially if you're on this punk rock centric channel, but I'll do a little bit of something just to get us going, okay? We got Ian MacKaye, who started the band Minor Threat back in the 80s, the early 80s. They operated out of DC. Then we had the band Black Flag out of Hermosa Beach. Initially they had a bunch of different singers, okay? They had Keith Morris, they had Ronnie Reyes, but then they brought in this guy named Henry Rollins, and that is the guy that we're talking about today. Henry Rollins along with Ian MacKaye. These two gentlemen were very good friends. They even worked at a Baskin-Robbins ice cream shop back in the day. There's very famous photographs of those two together working in such an establishment, but now they're going to be working in another establishment together. These two absolute legends of the scene went to a recording studio where it all went down back in the 80s, and they made it all go down again. I'm pretty excited about all this, and I don't really know what to expect. But let's go over the announcement and see what Henry Rollins had to say about this entire thing. Quote, "Weeks ago, I journeyed to DC in order to work on a great project. Ian MacKaye and I went to Inner Ear Studios, where we made our first records decades ago and mixed a 4-song session with the great Don Zintara on board. This is the same studio where the Teen Idols, Minor Threat, Bad Brains, and so many other records were recorded. It was amazing to be back there with Ian and Don." Dude, just reading this is giving me goosebumps. I feel like I'm holding ice cubes in my armpits right now. Partway through the mix, none other than Eddie Janney, he of the Untouchables, Rites of Spring, One Last Wish, Happy Go Lucky, Skewbald, and other great bands joined us. Holy shit, dude. This is a big deal. Jumping back in, the session benefited greatly by his presence. As to the tracks, I had them mastered several days ago, and I'm now working on a layout and design for the record. When it's ready, I'll let you know. We are extremely excited about this. Well, Henry Rollins, you're not the only one extremely excited about this. I'm extremely excited about this, and I think any aging punk rocker of a certain vintage out there is going to be excited about this kind of news. If you're not exactly sure why this is a big deal, these are the two guys that really laid down the DIY fundamentals that people are still following to this day. It was Ian MacKaye's initiative to put a strong focus on DIY shows, renting out community centers and bringing all your own backline to it to put on a great show for people of the community. Before that, everybody was at the whims of bars and clubs and this kind of thing, promoters and business owners. No. Ian MacKaye was like, put the punk power back in the punk hands. And I know he wasn't singularly responsible for that. There was a whole community backing him up. But Ian MacKaye is kind of the figurehead of that entire part of the scene that came out of DC. Now we talk about Henry Rollins. He was joining Black Flag that were kind of already putting in motion all of these great DIY principles. But Henry Rollins' intensity just amped it up. Black Flag, they were just putting out record after record after record. EP after EP, going through singer after singer. But the thing that made Black Flag is that they just didn't stop. For whatever time that they were around in the early 80s, they just kept going. They would make a record, they would tour that record. While they were touring that record, they would write a new record. They would stop touring to record the record, and then they would just repeat that process for a good solid 5 years there. When Henry Rollins decided to leave the band and do his own Henry Rollins band stuff in the 90s, Black Flag kind of fell apart. Now, Black Flag are still around currently in this day in a couple different iterations. Greg Ginn, the guitar player and kind of like the main guy behind Black Flag right now, is kind of out there doing his thing, and he has a whole bunch of musicians around him that are like 19 and 20-year-olds or whatever. Like, you guys are definitely not Black Flag. You guys were born in the 2000s. What do you mean you're playing up there with Greg Ginn? This is not Black Flag. And then again, there was another iteration of Black Flag. I don't know if they're still going, but they're just called Flag. And Flag is made up of other members of Black Flag that no longer want to work with Greg Ginn. So they've had Keith Morris on vocals in the past. Bill Stevenson, of course, was playing the drums. The lineup would shift over time. I'm not exactly sure what Flag is doing these days, if anything at all. But Black Flag's out there being cringe as fuck. And then you have Ian MacKaye, that's been holding it down on the underground all these years. He has that record label, Discord, and Discord has so many artists, and he just still lives by all the same values and principles because that is just the guy that he is. He was the guy that set these foundations down, and everybody after him and everybody after these guys have been emulating to their best ability to recreate that magic of the early 80s. And that DIY culture, that DIY scene is still intact to this day. Those principles have not gone anywhere. Sure, they come and go in waves of popularity, bands get big, then they go off into the mainstream, and then the cycle repeats again. And that's fine. But now we have these two forefathers, who I'm not sure what world this would look like if not for them, together all these years later. They know who they are, they know their relevance, they know the power that they hold in their little hands. So what's this record even gonna be? Is it gonna be a punk rock record? Is it gonna be a hardcore record? These guys are old as fuck. These dudes are in their 60s. But either way, I'm excited to hear what they are gonna do. And I'm also excited to see what the whole layout of the record is gonna be. Are they gonna tour these songs? How are they gonna present it? Are they gonna roll out a whole cycle? Are they gonna go on tour? I don't know. I have no idea. All we know, as Henry Rollins said, is when it's ready, he'll let us know. And that he's extremely excited. Are you excited about this sort of thing? What's your favorite Black Flag song? What's your favorite iteration of Black Flag? Do you have a favorite Minor Threat song? Comment down below. I want to know all the juicy details. Have you ever put on a DIY show of your own? A basement show, rented out a rec center, that kind of thing? If you did, you have Ian MacKaye to thank for that. And I want to know that story down in the comments as well. But for now, thank you so much for watching this video. I've been Dan Frampton. I was just about to say, and you've been filled in, but that's totally another YouTuber's thing. I'll think of something else, but not right now. Okay, bye.